What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. Now, check this out, y'all. I want to dig a little bit deeper into Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo Alvarez and the things that went on within the fight, the post conference, and just some other things surrounding that situation. Now, first off, I did a video, I did a breakdown of what I saw. And let me add some more to this. Now, I already broke the fight down, so I don't need to do that again. But let's say this for starters. Now, we've seen fighters fight with broken hand, broken jaw, similar situations. We had Sugar Ray Leonard with a detached retina, which caused him to retire, which he wound up coming back later, okay? Now, you don't know the severity of a situation, how bad something is, until after, it's all over with. Now, a lot of people, this fighter would have did this fighter would have did that, this fighter. Okay? I will say this, the people that's talking about what this fighter would have did, what that fighter would have did, let me ask you, what would you have done? How many fights have you had? What experience do you have to say that you fought through those type of situations? Everybody have a lot of tough talk about what they would have did and what this guy would have did and this guy should have did and he's a quitter and he's this, he's that. But you've never been in that situation and probably never will be unless somebody wind up catch you in the street and beating the tar out of you because you don't have the heart to get in the ring. This is not at all in defense of Billy Joe Saunders. This is basically, me bringing logic out of the situations because people love to talk about stuff they've never experienced, okay? That would be like me sitting here telling you what it's like to be a billionaire. And see, you got a this and that. I've never even been close to being a billionaire in my life. So what could I tell you about being a billionaire? I can tell you what I think. There's going to be things surrounding a situation that's common sense. But when you're in there, like I said, the fighters a lot of times need someone to save them from, we need someone to save us from ourselves at times. Now, Billy Joe Saunders was asked by his corner, can he continue? He told him he can't see. If he couldn't see, what sense does it make to go in there and take further punishment where now your career is over because you want certain fans to be able to say, well, at least he went out like a warrior. Like I always say, if you guys were managers or trainers and this was your son, somebody that you actually loved in that ring, and it's up to you to make the decision because, listen, first off, you're not a doctor, but like something is definitely wrong. The guy was blinking. Now we come to find out he has a broken orbital bone, right? Okay. Oh, man, this fighter would have did this and did that. Oh, this guy's soft. He's a pussy, blah, blah, blah. Now, Billy Joe talks a lot of shit. And I always say, fighters always put their foot in their mouth so often. Now, he laughed at Daniel Dubois. He talked a lot of trash about Daniel Dubois. Called him a quitter, made fun of him and all of that. Now he's in the same exact situation. So, no, this is not pity for Billy Joe Saunders. It wasn't pity for Daniel Dubois. It was just the reality of what the situation is. Okay? There's levels to certain degrees of pain where you feel something that you never felt before. It's like, wait, something is definitely wrong. So even after getting the news from the doctor, people are like, I don't care what the doctor said. I don't care what this person, right? And you don't have to. Just like nobody cares about what you're saying. Because at the end of the day, being a fan or a fanboy or hating on a fighter or not understanding the situation or talking off inexperience, it doesn't change the reality. Okay, I had a street fight. And I remember picking that guy up and I went to, on the way to slam him down, my elbow hit the parking meter. You know how hard a parking meter is? I felt it. I felt it. It was like a jolting pain went all up here. But my adrenaline was pumping and I'm, when everything was over and I calmed and relaxed, man, that pain was so, it was like, and the doctor's like, nah, you didn't break anything, but you hit it pretty hard. You bruised it and it was swollen and, okay. Let me explain something to you. I knew at that moment I hit it hard enough that something was wrong. When I went like this with my hand, because this area moves, I wasn't sure if I didn't know if I broke something or not. You know, your mind starts, I'm like, damn, I think I don't know. But I never felt that before. How many times as a kid you ran and fell and okay, but this was like something, I bruised it. So I never bruised my elbow before until that time. Okay? I didn't say, all right, it's enough. No, I did what I had to do, whatever. But the point, what I'm saying is, I knew something was different. That's what made me go to wind up going to the hospital. They're like, yo, man, you might have broke something. Like, just go get checked out just to be sure. And I did. So, yes, he quit. Okay? Even if he would have said, nah, I'm good. Let me go back out there. The doctor at ringside will have the experience to know, no, that's serious. You need to save this guy's eye. Okay? Let me tell you guys something. If the doctor waves it off or his cornerman says, nah, didn't we just, a little over a year ago, have this same type of conversation? But it was the opposite, in the message, where Deontay Wilder fires Mark Breland for throwing in the towel. And wasn't everybody saying, oh, well, he should be thanking Mark Breland because Mark Breland saved him? Why is it different for Billy Joe? Why? Deontay Wilder claimed later, way later, oh, he has a dent in his head from the fight. Okay, he didn't get the towel thrown in because of a dent in his head. He was just taking punishment. He couldn't get out of the way of punches and basically had no fight in him. Now, when that happened, and everybody starts, oh, he's ungrateful, the guy's stupid, he's delusional, the guy did what was best for his interest. Now, the difference in Deontay Wilder wanting to continue, yeah, because he was just getting beat up, but there was no actual severe damage being done, and did Deontay have to go get surgery on his eye and all? No, he hurt his shoulder in the fight. So he had to go get that surgery done on his shoulder. Okay, his arm, a bicep, or the torn bicep, or whatever it was. But at the end of the day, like I said, we've seen several fighters fight fight through injuries. Certain injuries are different. So for everybody that's such a gladiator, ain't never even had a schoolyard fight. Not 10 years ago, not 5 years ago, not last year, not last week, not last month, not last night. But everybody, I would have, this person would have, stop having such an ego. You guys are sitting up talking and just repeating what other people say. Now, it's not about whether you like Billy Joe Saunders or not. If you know me, then you already understand where I'm coming from. This has nothing to do with me liking or disliking Billy Joe Saunders. The thing about it is, yeah, the guy talks a lot of trash. Last video I made, I said, because of all this shit talking, people are going to bash Billy Joe Saunders. But the reality is, what you guys think, even what I think, doesn't mean shit, about what actually, it's not going to change what happened. So, yes, he quit because he felt something that was different. The guy went there and fought the best he could. Canelo is the better fighter. It's as simple as that. So all of this, but this and but that and but this. See, I don't cater to people. And this fanboyism stuff, well, you got to have the same energy because when he said this and he said, grow the fuck up. You guys act like a bunch of children, man. Because he said this, because he said that. So if I see someone sitting here throwing rocks at that pond over there, well, I'm going to go throw rocks too. Oh, guys, you can't throw that. Well, how come you didn't tell them that? They're throwing rocks like a little kid. That's exactly what you guys sound like because someone said something and this person said it. Well, you're supposed to say the same thing. And man, listen, that has nothing to do with nothing. First of all, Billy Joe Saunders, we all knew it was going to be the type of fight where he was going to have to sustain a certain level, a certain ring IQ, a certain will and determination, a certain game plan, that he was going to have to do it for 12 rounds. Could he do it was the question. Could he put it all together? That was the question. Okay? Now, for people that say, oh, well, it was all but over anyway because, even if that wouldn't have happened, Canelo eventually still would have, maybe. That's neither here nor there. It's not necessary, to even go into that. It's no different from saying, well, if Billy Joe didn't get his eye socket broken, maybe he would have won the fight. No. Didn't everybody say the same thing about Alexander Povetkin when he fought Dillian White? oh, it's all but over. Another round or two, it's going to be over. He's all but out. And then all of a sudden, what happens? He knocks out Dillian White. Deontay Wilder feels like the referee should have not even gave Tyson Fury a count, right? He should, the way he fell, he should have just automatically just called the fight off. And all these other things that he was saying, right? About, oh, this referee usually calls the fight off as soon as a guy falls, which is not true. But regardless, right? Do you remember when Deontay Wilder was being interviewed and he was talking about it? Yeah, man, he set up like the Undertaker, you know. It was funny. It made a great fight. Remember how, because the fight didn't get stopped, that go to show you see the determination and will. All the stuff that Wilder said, that all those moments is what helped make that a great fight. People gonna look back at, oh man, I thought it was over, right? And all of a sudden, he just got shot up like the Undertaker, and this is like a great moment. And then all of a sudden, after the second fight, oh, what should have happened in the first fight was blah blah blah, but that's not what was being said. So all of this, what would have happened, we don't know what would have happened. Canelo may have very well dominated and won the fight, may have even knocked him out. I am not going to deny that. I can't prove that, and I don't need to. It's irrelevant. The outcome is the outcome. So while we sit here making imaginary outcomes, when we have an outcome already, Canelo won the fight. It's as simple as that. So all of this whole, oh, but this would have happened, and like such and such said, I don't give a fuck what such and such said. They always say some shit. But when they say something that some people like, oh, even such and such said. Yeah, now y'all keep that same energy when all these so-called experts are 110% wrong with the outcome. Don't be quiet then, because you only speak about how great of an, how such great analysis they give when they say something in the favor of a decision that you like. This has nothing to do with the reality. I'm not here to focus on what the fans think or what each individual thinks. Everybody has their own way of seeing things or wanting things to go a certain way. That's petty. That is not what I'm even making this video for. Now, I don't see a reason for a rematch. I don't think Billy Joe Saunders would be able to make the adjustments. Now, I could be wrong. He might be able to pull it off and change it around, but I really personally don't think that he could. I think if they fight again, I think that Canelo will knock him out. And if he didn't knock him out, I think he'll get stopped on his feet. I just think, or maybe it might even end up having the corner just throw the towel in. One, psychologically, Canelo knows that, look, I spar with heavyweights. I hit hard. I can damage these guys my size easily. Okay? Canelo is a solid boxer. So is Billy Joe, but they're levels apart. Okay? Because Canelo can be calm and relaxed, still apply that pressure and win. Billy Joe has to push himself to the point of exhaustion. Okay? With skill, okay? With grit, determination, and some luck. He needs all of that to win against Canelo. Now, I'm not going to sit here and shoot the guy down because he lost the fight. Billy Joe talks incredible shit. Look at Dillian White, for example. Dillian White loves to laugh at people. Now remember, he laughed at Deontay Wilder when Wilder lost, right? Wilder responds with that, I believe in Glaz after he got his ass knocked out by Povetkin. So now he's back to laughing again. So he's laughing at Billy Joe Saunders for quitting. Fighters always have something stupid to say after something happens with another fighter, as if it can't happen to them. Okay? My main concern when I'm giving news is to look at the facts, look at the logic and reason in the situations. Not sit here and focus on what each individual person thinks and try to cater it to where people can, oh, well, I'll be neutral. We'll have middle ground. No, fuck middle ground and fuck neutral. I'm going to tell you exactly how I see it. Okay? And like I said, all of this, all the guys that quitted the guy, I'm willing to guarantee you 99.9% of you don't even know how to jump rope. Never hit a fucking speed bag. Nothing. So all of this, just big talk and talking with so much emotion about what this guy is and what he isn't, and this fight is this and this fight is that and this fight. Bro, somebody brought up Margarito, talking about how Margarito would have never quit. Margarito had a broken orbital bone. Yeah, Margarito also was fucking putting plaster in his gloves, in his wraps. We want to talk about that too? He was also cheating to try to win fights. Okay, so let's not sit up here and talk about who's who. Then too, look at the caliber of opponent, okay? I guarantee you, if somebody was fighting Michael Spinks, okay, and had a broken orbital bone, they'd have to be careful because, hey, he can land a shot. But I guarantee you, if he had somebody like Mike Tyson in front of him, it's like, no, this dude hit hard, real hard with either hand. I think it's best to get him out of here. Now, if Billy Joe Saunders had went out there, he can't see, he gets rocked with something. Let's say he ends up in a coma. Let's say he loses his eye permanently. Let's say both happens. I said this a couple of videos ago. We just said here, oh man, speedy recovery, prayers go up for Madonna Stevenson. Here's a guy, his issue, fighting past his prime to the point where he's taking shots he can't get away from. Zab Judah gave us the same type of, blood on his brain. There's always prayers up. But then yet, when the guy goes into a ring, and it's, look, there's a such thing as being defeated. In movies, they do shit like, you remember Chuck Norris versus Bruce Lee, and Chuck couldn't stand up, and and went forward, and Bruce Lee broke his neck. That's a movie. Chuck didn't really die. In real life, can you say what Chuck Norris would have done? You can say what you think, but does it matter? No. Because it's not real life. It's a movie. That's all it is. It's a movie. Real life, it's real easy for people to talk. People always thought I was crazy because certain situations, things happen, and it's like, yo, I wouldn't do that. You're not me. I'm not you. And then I don't do things to say, oh, yeah, well, I did this and you didn't. And no. Everybody want to be Mr. Machismo. The guy lost, end of story. Billy Joe Saunders, he need to tone the shit talking down. Grow up, mature. Stop focusing on trying to be such a smart ass, but that's part of his character. That's part of what makes him stand out. The same way with Tyson Fury, all the shit talking. And, if what you say backfires, of course, people are going to throw it back at you. So I'm not even defending that or focused on that. But I'm just pointing out, yeah, a lot of people wanted to see him get his ass whooped because of the type of shit he talks. But if you look past all of that, okay, if you have a brother, a son, a daughter, a mother, a father who shit talks, do you sit there and, let's say they're out in the street running their mouth, do you sit there and say, I hope somebody put a bullet in my brother's head so he stopped talking shit? I bet you after they kill his ass, he won't talk no more. Because there's consequences for your actions, right? And in the streets, it's not about, I want to fight. It's about survival, right? It's about live or die, not who want to fight. Boxing, you can lose your life in that ring. And for someone to walk around brain dead, do you guys forget what happened when what's my man name? Nigel Benn fought Gerald McClellan. Remember the head clash? Remember what ended up? Do y'all remember when Gerald McClellan saw, when him and Nigel Benn saw each other for the first time since that? Y'all remember the tears that came down his face? You remember how guilty he felt? And basically, it wasn't even because of a punch. Initially, it was because of the headbutt. Now, punches that followed after that headbutt, till the fight ended, yeah, all that has something to do with it. But the whole point is this. No matter how much shit Nigel Benn talked, no matter how crazy he talked, he's trying to psych himself for the fight. He's trying to put fear in his opponent. Nigel Benn didn't want to see. Do you think that in his heart he wanted to see Gerald McClellan in that situation where this guy is a vegetable sitting up in a wheelchair? Do you think that Nigel Benn want that on his heart to know that it's because of me? This man is going to be in this condition for the rest of his life. But yet, all you heartless, oh, yeah, he's a pussy, he's a bitch, he should have kept doing this and that. Let's just hope that somebody that you really love, because sometimes it takes something to happen to somebody more than that we really love. Like, that's why I always use our kids, for example. Well, let's just hope one day, okay, that something don't happen to somebody that you really love and care about. to where that same grief that somebody else's family may feel because that cornerman didn't throw the towel in, didn't stop the fight because he's worried about reputation. You know, just like you got your grandmother. Okay, your father, your mother could be going to the bank and some hoodlum sitting over there like, yeah, as soon as she get over there, I'm gonna rob her old ass. Oh, but that's different. No, it's not. It's called making decisions. And principle, it's called making decisions. And you want to know what you say? Punk ass motherfucker shouldn't be robbing nobody, but damn, why would you target somebody old? Because they want an easier target. They want less of a struggle. They want to be able to give me the money. Okay, gone. Next. That's why. So when you have to make a decision, you're thinking, this is my fighter. I have to protect him. But then again, if I throw this towel in, people are going to boo. They're going to think he's a coward. What should I do? Now he's sitting up, his career is over. Because you was too much of a coward. You know it takes courage to do something when you're afraid, right? You're afraid to throw that towel in for what? Because of a reputation? Reality is this. Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo, let's say they fought 3, 4, 5 times. It is very possible that Canelo might beat him every single time. It is very possible that he may beat him every single time. What you can learn and how you can change and restructure, that's one thing. After that, it's a psychological thing. All right? And Billy Joe Saunders needs to understand, I am as good as I am. What I need to get better to be able to beat Canelo or any other fighter that may still be able to beat me. I have to be able to get to that level. I have to know that I'm there. It's not about just ego and attitude and thinking I can do it. You always think you can, right? And then you find out if you can or can't when the fight happens. But what I'm saying, you have to be able to see the difference where, yeah, I've definitely improved and evolved as a fighter. And after you face something like that, look, Amir Khan had the same, I'm not Amir Khan, Kell Brook had the same thing happen to him on both sides of his face. Look at Amir Khan right now. Amir Khan is in a position where you don't want to, he doesn't want to keep getting his face fucked up like that. Okay, and in boxing, yeah, we go to the body a lot, but where are we trying to knock you out? We're going to your face, bro. And when people know that you've had those injuries, fighters are savages. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to target those injury areas. Yeah, this guy had 2, bro. Shit, I'm gonna try to. This is the hurt business. This is what happens. Okay. When Daniel Dubois went down, he took the knee. Everybody called him a pussy. He's a bitch. He's a quitter. Everybody, all the gladiators come out. Yeah, such and such would have. You're sitting over here bragging about what another man would do. What would you do? Or what do you think you do from all your experience of all the many battles that you've had? I done been stabbed here, didn't even know it. And I can tell you the person who did it ended up way worse than I was. Bare hands versus a blade, bro. I'm not even bragging. I don't know if you can see. Listen, it's not about me. There's a difference when you're in there versus sitting on your couch talking. Anybody can sit up and talk shit. I see people play video games. I see people sitting and play Fight Night Champions and act like they actually in an actual real fight, cursing, hollering, get so mad, throw the control down, and it's like, wow, this is how childish and petty people are. I'm not even focused on addressing these idiots. Let's just be real. Now, because you feel a certain way, no, I'm not saying because if you feel like he quit, he did quit. Yes, he did. Understand why he quit, okay? And before you are so judgmental to sit and say what you would have or what you think you would have done, you have not been in that situation. You might be going to the grocery store. You guys are not fighters, right? So you might be going to the grocery store tomorrow. Somebody might punch you right in your face, break your shit. You might wind up, well, I bet you I'll fight back up. Yeah, you might end up getting stomped out. You don't know what you do. You don't know. Things don't happen the way you want it to. It's not a movie, bro. It's not a script. It's life. Now, Canelo won. Saunders lost. Yes, he quit. And we know why he quit. Whether you like it or not, whether you try to, this is an excuse, who cares? Nobody gives a shit about that. What happened. It is what it is. Now, Jamal Charlo, they made tweets about the fight. Jamal is saying he wants to fight. Okay? If that fight happens next, I don't think so, but it might happen. Caleb Plant talked about fighting in September. He said, he don't know but he's supposed to fight in September. So, against who? We was told the next fight would be a unification match between him and Canelo. So maybe Canelo decides, all right, I'll fight a meatball next, and then I'll get to Caleb. Who knows? So I don't think that a fight with Charlo is going to happen next, if it does happen at all. Because for one, Charlo versus Canelo is a bigger fight than Canelo versus Caleb Plant. For one, Charlo is better. He's more better competition for Canelo than Caleb Plant. Charlo can bang. Charlo has a chin, and nobody gives Caleb Plant really. Very few people. Only really his fans give him a chance to even win. There are people that believe Charlo can beat more people. By far believe Charlo can beat Canelo, has a better chance, or feel like he can beat Canelo. Not Caleb Plant. A lot of people feel like, and I've heard people say that they think Caleb Plant can win, but it's very few people. On top of that, Canelo said he wants to unify the division. And I feel like if you have your sights set, just like with Anthony Joshua, why would you derail becoming undisputed just because somebody's mouthing off? No. Fulfill your obligations. That one piece of the puzzle for you to be, undisputed is held by Caleb Plant at 168. If you go and you beat him, after that, what happens? We don't know. Does Canelo hold all titles and defend them? Does he just want to say it was an accomplishment? I think he stays there. I don't really see Canelo going down to 160, at least not right now. Now, Canelo was asked, I don't remember if it was Ellie Setback, one of these guys, somebody was interviewing him, asking him, can you go down to 160? Oh, yes, sure, of course, yes. He didn't hesitate to answer that. So if you can go to 160, I'm going to tell you what I personally don't want to see. If, for one, Canelo said he feels comfortable. He feels really strong at 168. So this weight is ideal for him. And because he's the cash cow on the A side, it's like, okay, here's the thing. If I decide I want to go to 160, that's my choice. But if you want me, you going to dance by my rules. You understand? So I feel comfortable at 168. For Jamal Charlo, he doesn't necessarily have to drop his belt unless he has a mandatory or something like that. He can go to 168 if they allow it in. Now, if he wins the fight, does he hold the title at 168 and 160? I mean, it wouldn't be wise to go back and forth between weights like that. So does he stay at 168? I don't know. Now, this is what I see, personally. Even if Canelo decided, okay, I unify 168. Personally, I feel like if he did that, you need to defend your titles after you do it, right? And I think Benavidez should be that guy. He's already at 168. That's just personally what I think. I think if he unified the division, if he became undisputed and then decided, I'm not going to stay at 168, and then he left, it would look like a clear duck. You know what I'm saying? It really would. And it really just wouldn't do the division any good. Like, okay, you did all of that. Now the titles are all over the place. And, no more undisputed. This guy has a belt, that guy. Then you have a 168-pound, division where it's like all these different people have a title and there's nothing special. And it just leaves the division looking like, man, Canelo dominated these guys and just took the belts and said, hey, man, I don't want them anymore. I'm going to dominate another division or whatever. I think that, him and Benavidez is that fight. And I think that maybe that could be what he's thinking. I'm going to fight Caleb Plant. I'm going to beat him. The big showdown at 168 is going to be me versus Benavidez. Now, he already said he doesn't want to fight against another Mexican fighter. So, the thing, I don't know. That may or may not happen. Now, as far as Jamal Charlo is concerned, if he goes to 168, that will be a fight. That's the fight I really want to see. More so than all of them. with Canelo. Now, I don't see Canelo going to 154. So it's either 160 against Jermall Charlo or 168 against Jermall Charlo. As far as the way things are looking, if that was to happen, and how long, how soon, we don't know. Now at the post conference, Demetrius Andrade came in. He congratulated him, told him he was a fan, and said, like, when can we get together? Now I'm not a fan of I'm not big on people interrupting people's post conference and all that, or interrupting them in the ring. I know the fans might think it's entertaining, but I'm like, man, look, the guy just won. Let him have his moment, man. This is any fighter, not because it's Canelo. Fuck all that. No, anybody. Remember when Mosley and Hopkins jumped in the ring against when after Floyd had just defeated Juan Manuel Marquez, and Shane jumped in there and begged for that ass whooping that he got. But he jumped in there, and it's like, wow. And people said, oh, he waited till Shane got old and called Shane out. No, he didn't call Shane out. He responded because Shane came in the ring being disrespectful. Okay. Demetrius Andrade. I don't know if he did what he did out of sarcasm or if it was just to put Canelo on blast. Like, okay, congratulations, champ. I'm a fan, man. Great job. That's what he said. Something to that effect. And he's like, but when me and you gonna get it on? So Canelo didn't like that. Now, Canelo's response was really sour, man. He says, you fight nobody. You have a belt, but you're a horrible fighter. Said he was a boring fighter and all of that. Okay, listen. Everybody Canelo fought, okay, wasn't the greatest fighter in the world. He got some meatballs on his resume as well. If Demetrius Andrade is a boring fighter and he's a horrible fighter, he's fought nobody, well, then who's good then? If Jermall Charlo is not on your level and he's not good enough, well, then who's good? Now, what I don't want to see, which was I was saying before, and I kind of got off that point, was you said you can go back to 160 with no problem. I have no interest in seeing him go back to 160 and fight Triple G for a third time. I have no interest. If you go to 160, you need to lock horns with Jermall Charlo. As far as I'm concerned, that's the only fight that I even care about at 160 with Canelo. That's the only fight. If I don't think Jamel is going to come up to 160 because his brother's there. Unless it's a thing where it's like, okay, we'll just split the belts or whatever, man. Like, whoever. I don't know. But at some point, hey, when you're number one contenders and all that, or mandatory, however it may go, you might have to fight each other. I don't think they're going to do that. I really wouldn't want to see that anyway. Just like I didn't want to see Vladimir versus Vitaly. I'm not into that. But anyway, it's one of these things where if he goes to 160, fight the best guy at 160. Don't go there and fight an old Triple G and try to keep this thing going like it's really no. Triple G is he's past his prime. He's been for a while, and I have no interest in seeing it. There's no need for a third fight. It's just no need. Now he was telling Demetrius Andrade, get the fuck out of here. I'm going to fuck you up right now. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching and I'm saying, okay. So, like I said, I don't know if Demetrius Andrade had any sarcasm in what he was saying, or if it was just, hey, man, look, let's fight. Now, that's the way it appeared to me, that he was just, hey, let's fight. But like I said, I'm really not into interrupting people's shit. But see, Demetrius Andrade is in a position where he's trying to get a fight. He's trying to get a big fight. I remember he did the same thing to Charlo. Interrupted his press conference, the post-press conference, and started, mounting and saying whatever. Okay, the Charlos hate both of them. They hate Demetrius Andrade. I said this like several videos ago, that I think that he just hates this guy so much, he just doesn't want to fight him. Like, because Charlo's a bigger name than Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade basically is just still trying. He's doing everything except for saying, let's go, champ. He's doing the Shannon Briggs. He's showing up, trying to call people out, trying to get attention, trying to, it makes you look a bit desperate, especially when you have a title already. And the Charlos are like, he's broke. Him and his father both, they broke and they're trying to get money. And they don't want him to make a big payday because of them. And if they was to fight, I could see negotiations being a big problem, because I can see the Charlos right now, either one of them, saying, man, fuck that. Man, it's going to be 80-20. I don't see a 60-40 with them. I don't, definitely ain't getting no 50-50. And Demetrius Andrade, I don't see him accepting those terms. I don't see this being no fair thing. I don't. If that fight ever happens, my thing is, you could always say, fuck the payday. He gonna get paid, I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna beat his ass. I mean, if you really, really look at it, because from a competitive standpoint, yeah, you should fight Demetrius Andrade. From a personal standpoint, he definitely sees it different. As far as Demetrius Andrade and Canelo, I don't think Canelo really wants to fight Demetrius Andrade. Whether it's because he thinks he's boring or whatever, it doesn't really matter, because let's be honest, right? Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade, I know people have said, people, whoever they like better, they're going to say that guy would beat that guy. I never looked at Billy Joe like, oh, he's a better fighter than Demetrius Andrade. I just looked at the fight like, I actually feel like his speed, his power, his movement, his boxing skills, I give him an edge over Billy Joe Saunders. Not because of what happened Saturday. Long time ago, I felt like that would be a good fight, but I gave Demetrius Andrade the edge. Against Canelo, it's not about me sitting here making predictions. It's not necessary. The point is this. Even if Canelo beats Demetrius Andrade, it's a fight that should happen. Even if he beats Charlo, it's a fight that should happen. If Demetrius Andrade beats Canelo, it's a fight that should happen. If Charlo beats Canelo, it's a fight that should happen. Demetrius Andrade and Charlo should fight. It's an issue of these guys just getting in the ring and making the fight happen. And when you say a guy like Demetrius Andrade is boring, he's a horrible fighter, you can't go fight a lesser fighter and then try to pump us up to make us think that he's a better fighter. Because there's more people that wanted to see Demetrius Andrade versus Canelo than they wanted than Billy Joe Saunders overall. Now, I know the British fans was behind Saunders. Boxers, if you look at the boxing community, it was hard pressed to find anybody in boxing that really, even people even British people was saying they don't give Billy Joe much of a chance to win. Chris Eubanks Jr. put $10,000 on a fight that Canelo would knock Billy Joe Saunders out. And listen, you think that maybe one day Chris Eubanks Jr. may fight Billy Joe Saunders again? Billy Joe Saunders sent the tweet out saying, thank the fans for sticking by him and for the people that was, saying that was supporting him and all of that. When you come back from situations like that, psychologically, you don't know how the fighter is going to approach the next fight. It's all in time. I don't see him jumping in the ring no time soon. That type of injury is like any injury, but that has to really heal. You need your eyes to see. That has to heal completely before you get to the ring with anybody. Now, I will tell you this. We've seen an improvement in Chris Eubanks Jr. Now, who Saunders would come back against, we don't know. Does he take a soft touch? I think so. Okay, get the confidence back. Nothing stays the same. Nobody stays champion forever. Nobody stays number one contender forever, number two, whatever. It's always something going on. A lot of people feel like Canelo will only lose due to father time, or unless like something happens where he gets hurt in the ring, like some freak accident or something, but they don't feel like there's nobody that can beat him. Everybody has their opinion. I'm not focused on combating that or whatever. I see it. Listen. The way I see it, regardless to who you think is going to win, if sitting here debating about who can beat who is what's going to determine the winner, then what's the purpose of having fights? Why do we need to watch the fight? Regardless to who wins. Whoever Jamal and Jamel fight, I'm rooting for the Charlo brothers. Does that mean that they're going to win? No. I don't know if they're going to win. Okay? I just know who I want to see win. You know, we were talking about Josh Taylor. I remember the fight with Prograde. That was a good fight. That was a good fight. And for the people in the States that don't know who Josh Taylor is, he's a fucking bum. No, he's no bum. He's far from a bum. And these are the same people who do know who Regis Prograde but don't even know that Josh Taylor beat him. You understand what I'm saying? So when people talk about fights and this person is this, it's like, man, shut up. Just shut up, you casual, don't know shit about nothing but always talking. Shut up. There's certain people, you remember, I don't know if you guys remember, last year I did a video before the year ended where I was talking about Adrian Broner, and I said, man, I would keep Adrian Broner far away from Josh Taylor, from Regis Prograde and guys like that. Adrian Broner just doesn't have it, man. He doesn't have that killer instinct that he needs. He just doesn't have it, man. He doesn't let his hands go. It's like he's scared to get hit, and he's not the same, And people was, he should do this and he should do that. Well, if it's about getting back on your feet, making some money, and then just ride off into the sunset rich, hey man, you're not what you used to be, and you won't be that again. I said that. And I meant what I said. Now, there's people that's going to say, why would he not want to fight Josh Taylor? Why would he not want to fight Regis Prograde? Well, the reason is because, for one, whenever he fights elite competition, he loses. Two, which is pretty much in the same boat as one, he can't beat these guys. I'd have to see him beat them to believe it. He couldn't. He barely got past a C-class fighter in his last fight. People can talk all the shit they want. Remember the excuses they made for Andy Ruiz about ring rust? But you notice they didn't make those same excuses for Adrian Broner, right? Just his diehard fans that was trying to say he won the fight, but he ain't been in the ring. No, but it wasn't a big issue about ring rust. Go look at comments all over about that fight. It was basically people looked at it, look, Adrian Broner looked just like he did when he fought Mikey Garcia, when he fought Pacquiao, when he fought Sean Porter, when he fought all these guys ever since he lost to Marcos Maidana. Adrian Broner just does not let his hands go anymore, man. And basically, he just doesn't have a solid ring IQ. He just doesn't have that grit and that killer instinct. Simple. So, anyway, looking at what's going on with Canelo, the possibilities of who, he's in a great position, man. I mean, not just because he's the cash cow. He has challenges that he can go and, he has several guys he can fight. My thing is this, okay? For every champion that wants to be the greatest of all time, or the greatest, like he said he wants to be the greatest Mexican fighter of all time, well, then you need to at some point fight. Don't, look, you're 30, 31. Don't wait for, Demetrius Andre to be 36, 37. Don't wait, for him to get old and then decide, if he's even still champion by then. Don't wait for him to get old and he's not the same to finally decide, okay, let's fight. He's in the same age group as the Charlos, right? So 30, 31, whatever. Okay, make these fights happen. Nobody wants to see you fight Triple G. I know I don't. I certainly don't. And that ass whooping that Triple G will take might not even be worth the money that he'll make in that fight. Regardless to how many millions it is, I don't even think Triple G deserved to be in there right now. Because, and when I say that, what I mean, I don't see Triple G having a chance in hell to beat Canelo. Not now. Not now. For damn sure, not now. Triple G is over the hill, man. Let's just be real. Let's not sit here and try to, soup this up to be some super bout between a guy who's still in his prime versus a guy who hasn't been in his prime for a long time now. And even for, if we feel, even for people that feel like Triple G beat those fights against Canelo, that's all good. But don't let that blind you to where you're looking at Triple G like he's still that same Triple G. He's not. And we've seen that. So how do you even get up for a fight between Triple G, a third fight? I mean, it's like Ray Leonard versus Duran 3. It was like, why is this fight even happening? Why? Duran was done. And Sugar Ray Leonard got booed out the building because he couldn't finish off an old washed up has-been. And basically that's what it came down to. Canelo Alvarez right now has, the buzz is crazy about what just happened. And it just goes to show you, people don't want to say Billy Joe Saunders is a solid fighter, but he is. Because if he wasn't, nobody would be making a big deal about the outcome. They would have just said, I knew that shit was going to happen, man. That's what Billy Joe is. He ain't shit. No. Why do you think people are making such an uproar about it? Because why? Billy Joe is a solid fighter. Give Canelo his props. Give Billy Joe his props. He tried. He fell short. Canelo is the better fighter. Simple. The injury is real. Daniel Dubois' injury was real. Sugar Ray Leonard's injury was real. There's been several fighters that has died in the ring. If you can't see punches coming, you can't get out the way, which means you could be target practice. And with a guy like Canelo, that's just a sound, well-rounded fighter, can get there and destroy you, bro. If you can't get out of the way of the punches with two good eyes, what the fuck you gonna do with one eye? And on top of that, he's a southpaw and it's his right eye. You can't see shit coming. Now, if he tries to switch up and go orthodox, he's not as good. So you target practice. And Canelo is going to try to punish you. Like I told you guys, Canelo's not coming in to try to outbox Billy Joe Saunders. He's coming to try to knock him out. From round one, it was evident. There was no filling out process bullshit. No, he went and he was trying right from the very first round. Body shots. Those body shots wore him down, took his legs away. Billy Joe Saunders basically took a lot of punishment in those 4 rounds. He took a lot of punishment. Don't be fooled by shaking your head, sticking your tongue out, saying he took a lot of punishment in those first 4 rounds. So by the time he even got started, he was already feeling the effects of those body shots. Believe that. Oh, believe that. And when you are in a fight and you start getting hit, things are not going your way. First, everything is kind of, all right, I'm in a fight. Okay, nothing's getting out of hand. And all of a sudden, oh shit, I'm hurt. And this guy's fine. Oh shit, I'm hurt again. Oh shit, now I can't see. Do you know what that does to somebody's psychology? So, anyway, again, people, we're not going to sit here and cater to people to try to make people, oh yeah, you know what you say. I don't care about, look, opinions are opinions. But if there's no logic behind what you're saying, and all of a sudden you're this Superman shit, that's the power of video games. You can create characters. You can create yourself. You can make yourself invincible. You can fly. You can punch through brick walls. Because in real life, you can't. Let's not sit here, like I said earlier, and make what-if scenarios. We don't need a what-if scenario. Okay? We could say, what if Ali never landed that shot against George Foreman on the ropes? What if he didn't fall for the rope-a-dope, right? Huh? What if Mike Tyson, what if Larry Holmes' arm didn't get caught under the rope when he tried to throw that uppercut at Mike Tyson? According to Larry Holmes, he had Mike right where he wanted him. I didn't see it that way, but according to Holmes, what if Alexander Povetkin didn't land that uppercut on Dillian White? It makes no sense to sit here, what if this, but I don't care what the commentators said. Like I said, in that fight, they all said the fight was all but done. Alexander Povetkin was on his way out. And all of a sudden, early in that last round, he knocks Dillian White out. So we don't know what would have happened. And again, maybe Canelo would have destroyed him anyway. Maybe he would have wound up finishing. Maybe. It's very possible. 99.9%. Okay, or even 100% possible that he could have did it. Simple. Doesn't make a difference. He did what he had to do. He got him out of there. He got hurt in the fight. Let's not forget this, people. Like I said, a fighter can come to the ring and he's injured already. It's still on you because you took that fight. But what I'm saying is, he got injured in the fight. That's the point. You're throwing punches. No, I'm slipping, I'm moving, I'm blocking, I'm catching and shooting, right? Which is something I wish he would have did a little more of, catch and shoot and move. But anyway, Billy Joe, I'm saying. I'm looking at these things. Chris Arreola a few weeks ago, right? Got hit in his wing by Andy Ruiz. Bah, that shot hurt him. Now, I'm going to tell you who quit. And I don't even care to know I remember his name. Was it Frank Sanchez? The guy he fought? Y'all saw that punch? That clearly hit this guy? Clearly hit this dude up at his top of his shoulder. And then the blow of it, bam. And then his arm kind of goes forward a little bit. And his wrist kind of pulls him. And this dude walks over to the ring, drops to his knee, drop on the rope, then drop to the second rope strategically. Then he's on the floor, he's rolling around, holding the back of his head, shaking his legs like he's going into a seizure and shit. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to laugh at this shit, because it's disgraceful. Because this dude is clearly pretending that he can't continue. That guy got his ass whooped. He was scared. Them shots was hurting him. Okay? Even the shots that was missing was scaring him because of the power behind the shots. That guy didn't want to fight. Okay, so he pulls a Malik Scott. The first, if he glanced me, I'm going to go down. That's what he did. He pulled a Bruce Seldon. Mike Tyson clearly throws that punch. It goes over Bruce Seldon's head. Clearly over his head. Bruce Seldon drops and pretends he can't get up. What's the guy's name that Terry Norris beat? Even though Terry did him, Terry did hit him when he was down. You know, he did hit him in the back of the head or something like that. But the guy twice in a row beat Terry 2 fights in a row, back to back, on his back, won the fight. And you can see the guy on the gurney laying there with like a little smile on his face. He know that's quitting. That's clearly quitting. Okay, that guy who fought, like I said, not Frank Chan. I think it's Frank Sanchez was his name, but not him. His opponent. Y'all know. Y'all saw it. Look at that. Look at that shit. Now look, I just shook my head like that. That is disgraceful, man. And it was so disgraceful that I couldn't even laugh at it. Like, wow. Like, bro, you should be ashamed of yourself, man. If you just look at his acting on that floor. He's shaking his legs and kept grabbing his head. And I'm like, bro, what type of bitch are you, man? You mean to tell me somebody can knock you out and can hurt you like that with their fucking wrist? Somebody, you know how soft this, somebody can actually, their arm kind of hook you in the top back of you and with his wrist. You're not even knocked out or dazed. You're just grabbing your head and shaking. Remember F.A. Ajaba fought some guy? The guy got in the ring, and when they rung the bell, the guy climbed out the ring and just walked out. And he claimed it was over some money dispute or whatever it was, but just the point, that's quitting. Now, don't get me wrong, you can quit. There's several ways you can quit. And again, yes, Billy Joe Saunders quit. He quit. But I don't knock his reason for quitting. He said, I can't see. What was his trainer supposed to? Nah, fuck that. Go out there, man. I don't care if you lose your eye. You're a boxer. That's part of the game. We'll get you a glass eye. You won't be able to see, but we'll get one that matches the fucking good one that you got left. That's quitting. And that was disgraceful. And that dude, I mean, in all honesty, I don't wish nothing bad on nobody. What he did doesn't affect me any kind of way personally, but just as a man, watching him sit there and pretend that he was hurt by, I mean, the blow clearly up top, and his arm kind of slid forward. And you mean to tell me, like I said, somebody took you out with their wrist? He's not even on the floor like dazed, just, he didn't even go down and pretend he can't make no, he just went down. Turned around and walked. He did a Ric Flair. Remember how Ric Flair be getting hit? Remember how he'd walk, then push the referee, and then drop, do that little nosedive, and the crowd started laughing? He did one of those numbers. He didn't push the referee, but he turned around, clearly, put his hand in the back of his head, walked, dropped to the top rope, then strategically dropped to the second rope, and then laid on the floor. And he's rolling all around. I'm like, you are a terrible actor. That's disgraceful. That's disgraceful. Anyway, people, it's interesting to see what's going to happen next with these fighters coming up. And hopefully, for boxing, that, we do get the fights that we want to see. I'm not into all this people FaceTime each other and just sending, empty threats back and forth. Get in the ring, make the fights happen. Just make the fights happen. That's all we care about. Make the fights happen. At the end of the day, it's boxing. It's a professional sport. It's a way that people feed their families. It's entertainment for all of us that love it. By no way, shape, or form should we sit here and want to wish somebody lose their eye, somebody die in the ring, somebody go through something where they're not the same anymore. The punishment that you take in that ring, fighters don't have pension plans. They don't have insurance through any boxing organization. And when fighters in their career broke, All that money that they made that you think that, oh, no, these guys don't have it like you think they do. All of that matters. Let's not act stupid like this is some pit fighting situation where somebody captured you and, oh, the only way out is if you win. This is a business. All fighters are not well compensated, but for those who's making these millions of dollars, who's sitting up here on their ass, bullshitting around, these guys, they take advantage of everything that they can. And at the end of the day, the older you start to get, you start to wise it up, you start to see things for what it is. And I'll say this. Let me say this one thing I'll say about the Charlos. And Jamel just did a video the other day. He's, addressing the situation. He's in there hitting the bag and working out. That's one thing about the Charlos, is that you often see them doing videos. They're always in the gym. That is a plus. That is a plus. Now we just need for these fights to actually happen. Anyway, never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people. And I will catch y'all in the next video. Leave comments. Let me know what y'all think about, what's next for Canelo, Jamal, Billy Joe. What do y'all think is next? Well, first off, Billy Joe needs to recover fully. If he does come back, whatever, you never know the extent of certain injuries. You just don't know. But, what y'all see? What do y'all want to see happen? What looks like is more feasible than not? Because we have a lot of talk. And see, once you get all hyped up because you got a good fight, the juices are flowing, and then all of a sudden it starts to drag again. Is Caleb Plant going to be next? He did say he was looking for September for a fight. And that's definitely not with Canelo. So maybe he feels he needs one more fight than Canelo. Who knows? Anyway, drop your comments. I'm out. Time to hit the gym.